This episode of the Driving Safety Show is sponsored by Drivers Alert, celebrating 30 years of helping companies keep their drivers safe. To learn more, visit driversalert.com. Distracted driving, drunk driving, drowsy driving. You want safer roads, and so do we. You're listening to the Driving Safety Show. Hear insights, in-depth analysis, and expert advice from key players in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors who are leading the way in making our roads safer. Are you ready to join us? And now, your host of the Driving Safety Show, Rich Sordahl.
Welcome to another episode of the Drivers Alert Driving Safety Podcast, where we interview some of the most influential people in driving safety. Our guest today is a mom of 5, grandmother of 3, a wife, a big sister, and an aunt 3 times over. She is also a public speaker who's on a mission to end distracted driving. On October 17th, 2012, Tasha Hairston Springs was texting and driving on a highway in North Carolina when she drifted out of her lane and sideswiped a concrete barrier. The impact caused her to lose control of her SUV and collide with another vehicle. When Tasha awoke, she found herself partially ejected. Tasha spent the next 6 weeks in the hospital where she underwent several reconstructive surgeries. She lost an ear, part of her face, skin, muscles, tissue from her arms, hands, face, and chest, leaving her permanently disabled. As a result, Tasha founded Texting is Risky Business and now works with organizations interested in helping teens and young, inexperienced drivers better understand the dangers of distracted driving. Tasha, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Rich, for having me.
So, Tasha, what were you doing professionally in your career prior to the accident?
I was a machine operator for a pharmaceutical company. I put the names of the medicine on the capsules.
And what were your, I guess, both your career and life goals at that point in time before the accident happened?
I was actually going to school for psychology because I wanted to get out of like manufacturing type work and I wanted to work with children. So I started going to Florida Institute of Technology for child psychology and applied behavioral analysis. So at the same time I was working, I was going to school too.
And you're in North Carolina right now, correct?
Right.
Okay. So on that day of the accident, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what happened.
The day of the accident, I had just got off work that morning, went home. I worked from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I got off work, did what I normally do. I had a date that night, but I also I needed to get my younger son some shoes. So I had a plan to leave from Greensboro to go to Mebane and then go to Durham. And that's like all together like an hour and 30-minute drive.
And so were you on the highway when this happened?
Yeah. I was on the highway. I had stopped and got some gas. When I got the gas, I got back in the car. I forgot to put my seatbelt on. I got on the highway. I started driving, and maybe 10 minutes into the drive, the date that I had, he called and he canceled, but I still needed to go get my son's shoes, so I still headed on to Mebane. And then maybe 15 minutes after that, my daughter started texting me about her cell phone bill. It was due that day. It wasn't going to get cut off till the next day, but it was due that day, and she was like freaking out because she has like an addiction to a cell phone. She still does. But she started freaking out about her cell phone bill. She wanted me to pay it. She didn't want her phone to get turned off. So it was like a constant back and forth text with me sending the same text over and over again. I'll pay your bill when I get ready. So it basically almost, with my attitude, I was getting angry because she kept texting me, asking me the same thing. And I kept texting her back saying the same thing. And like doing 70 miles per hour, looking down and looking up for the last time, I connected to the overpass. And when I hit the overpass, I could see like the sparks and stuff popping off of my SUV. So I immediately I felt like, okay, I'm not going to survive this. I know how fast I'm going. I know my window was down. It was October 17th, but it was still warm. So I had my window down. I didn't have my seatbelt on. And when I hit this overpass, like I said, I saw all the sparks popping up in the air. I thought I was going to die. When I disconnected from the overpass, I hit a car. It was a car in front of me, and I hit that car. When I hit that car, I bumped my head. I even have a dent in my head where I hit the dashboard. I was knocked unconscious. And from the speed that I was doing, I'm pretty sure I'll say the wall probably slowed me down because I was doing 70. So it might have slowed me down a little bit, not that much. But from hitting that car, mine started flipping. I was in a Toyota Highlander. So it was flipping, and as it was flipping, it was dragging me. And I was like partially out of the car. So it was like I hit the ground and I got like a whole bunch of road rash, lost a whole bunch of skin and muscle tissue from my arm. As you can see, my ear is gone. My head hit the concrete. And when I woke up, for the first time when I woke up, I heard the helicopter. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm still alive. So I was cognizant. I knew what had happened. The EMT that put me in the helicopter, he asked me if I knew what happened. And I told him, yeah, I knew what happened, but he didn't know that I was texting and driving. That's what caused it to happen. So they flew me to, well, first I went to like a local hospital, but they couldn't do anything else for me except for stitch my lip back on because my lip had ripped off. So they had to stitch my lip back on. They had to stop the bleeding, put me in a helicopter, and flew me to the trauma center where they did I was in ICU for like 24 hours. I woke up, I heard my heartbeat, and I was thankful. I was grateful. Like I couldn't even be sad. I didn't get sad. I was too happy that I was alive because I was like, how did I survive? Like even to this day, I'm still like, how did I survive? I knew how fast I was going. I knew I didn't have my seatbelt on. And I'm still amazed that I'm here. And it was all because I'll pay your bill when I get ready. I looked down for what seemed like half a second just to hit send. And like my whole world almost ended. And then I hurt two other people because that night they got treated and released. That morning, the nurses came in and they told me that I had hit another car. The people had got treated and released. And that whole night, though, that I was in ICU, I knew something had happened, but I didn't know I hit a car. So the whole time I'm sitting in ICU and I'm like, I hope I didn't kill anybody, and they're just not telling me right now. So it was that 24 hours in ICU was like hell, literally like hell. And when I woke up and they told me people got hurt, but they got treated and released, I still felt bad because it was my fault. I did it. And I know what I was doing that did it. So
just I guess to understand more in detail, so you kind of sideswiped. You were going under a bridge,
yeah,
and you brushed up against the concrete barrier. Is that what it is that you hit?
Yeah, like the overpass where
yes,
the traffic. Okay, well, yeah, the concrete wall.
Yeah,
I sideswiped that. And when after I passed it, I guess immediately after I passed it, I hit the car that was in front of me. And when I hit the car that was in front of me, it caused me to start flipping.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about the extent of, just this one event and how it turned your life upside down. I mean, how you went through reconstructive surgery, probably multiple surgeries, I guess.
Yeah, maybe over 100 procedures with laser surgery and invasive surgeries to put the skin back. I had to get like skin grafts because I was open. You could actually see my bone. So they had to, I had to get liposuction. I had to get skin pulled and lifted and stapled and laser surgery to because of the skin grafts, they were so thick because they took the skin, like the whole top portion of skin off of my thigh, they had to take that skin off, did whatever they did with it, and they had to layer it back onto the muscle that I had left. So when they put it on there, it was really, really thick. So they had to keep doing the laser surgery over and over and over. And for 5 years, they had to do this. And not just to my arm, but also to my face, both my arms, my hand, and my chest. So, I mean, it was something I would not ever wish on anyone. I was in the hospital. It started on October 17th, the day that I went to the hospital. This is when all the reconstruction started. They had to make the plan of exactly like the plan of execution. How are we going to put this girl back together? So 6 weeks in the hospital is what it took to get the skin grafted on me and like get it to adhere to my muscle. And then 5 years of every 6 weeks traveling an hour away to get laser surgery and reconstructive surgery and liposuction and there's a whole bunch of stuff and that message was not worth anything that I went through or the people that I hit. I'm pretty sure they went through something. I'm not exactly sure, but I know they did. I mean, you can't be in an accident like that and it not affect you some kind of way, because I have post-traumatic stress now. So just knowing what I did and how stupid it was, how dumb it was, because I already knew that texting and driving was banned. But still, I had to admit to myself that I had an addiction to my phone. So anytime my notification went off, whatever I was doing, I was going to grab my phone. So it was like something within myself that I had to correct.
And so you mentioning, being partially ejected from the vehicle. So this was probably out the driver's side window or the windshield.
Yes.
Driver's side window.
The driver's side window. And that's something else that's crazy to me. Like, none of the windows broke. The only way that I came out of the car was because I had my window down. And then something else is crazy. I didn't break any bones. Like, none of my bones broke. It was just skin, just real bad trauma to my skin.
Wow. And you're really fortunate that the vehicle didn't roll over you too.
Right. Because, I mean, I thought about that too while I was in the hospital. I was like, I could have, instead of just losing my cheek and losing my ear, what if I would have lost my head? Or what if I would have been severed in half? Or I lost my arm? Or I lost, a million things crossed my mind what could have happened to me. And what could have happened to the people that I hit.
So after, the initial, I guess, 6 or so weeks of all the reconstructive surgery and being in the hospital, then I'm sure months of physical therapy or, what followed that period?
I had the physical therapy because I couldn't straighten out my arm. My arm, because of the skin grafts, it was so tight. So I could only walk around with my arm bent up towards my chest. So it took several months to get with the laser surgery to loosen up the muscle and the skin to be able to even stretch my arm out again. So I had to, I'm not going to say I had to relearn how to write, but it was very difficult to write because my writing hand is crushed. And my doctor, he did his best to try to bring the bone and separate the bone from the muscle, because now it's like blended in together. So it couldn't happen. So we stopped doing that. But my fingerprints got burnt off. So that still hurts. And then I have a hole in my hand and I have a hole in my elbow. And all this stuff is still like I'm going through pain.
At what point or how long after all of this did you start thinking about what your next steps were going to be in your life and your career?
When I was in the hospital, sitting there, they had volunteers come in, and these volunteers would come in and tell us the things that happened to them, because I was in a burn unit. And while I was in the burn unit, it was like a guy had came in and he was telling me about how him and his family had been in a plane accident and he got burnt. His brothers, it was him, his father, and his brothers, they had got burnt up real bad. So while he was telling me the story and looking at him because his face was burnt, I was like, so how are you doing what you're doing? Like, how did you start doing this? And he was like, well, when you're a burn survivor, it's different from just being injured or just being hurt. Burn survivors have like a different kind of trauma. Like you watching yourself on fire is different from anything else. And he was like, we come in and we talk to all the burn patients and let them know that they're okay or they're still beautiful or they can still do whatever. And I was like, I want to do that. I got to figure out how I can do that because I want to advocate against texting and driving because that's what I was doing. And I was so stuck on like, nobody can tell me what to do in my car. This is my phone. This is my car. I can text and drive if I want to. No, you can't. And I tell people, this is something that I do say a lot. Look at me. I thought I could do it too. So what makes you so special that it might not happen to you? It might not ever happen to you. But still, why take the risk? And that's where I came up with texting is risky business because I was like, texting is risky business because you don't know what you can do. You don't know what'll happen when you look down to press in. You don't know when you look up who's in front of you. Are you going to kill somebody? Are you going to hurt yourself? And so it's like, it's not worth it. And being in the hospital and seeing him be brave enough to tell his story, to show his scars, it helped motivate me to be able to stand up and tell my story, tell my truth.
How about even, let's say, just outside the vehicle, just any time when you're at home or at some location, you have your phone in your hand. Does it feel different now when you look at your phone? Do you look at it in a different way? Do you have any emotional, I don't know the best way to put it, but I'm sure it changed your whole perspective on just mobile devices in general.
I don't like my phone. But I know I have to have my phone. I'm not going to say have to have it, but it's okay now. Like before, it was payphone. If something happened, you could pull over and use a payphone. Okay, there's no more payphones. So if I, as a single woman driving in a car, I run out of gas, I get a flat tire, I'm on the highway, I'm alone. Okay, now I need a phone. So now it's more like I use it like a credit card just in case of emergencies. So when I'm in my car with my phone is on silent always, even now. I don't even like to hear my phone go off. I don't want to hear a notification. I don't want to know what's going on my phone until I decide to pick it up eventually. So it took me 2 years to break the habit of wanting to have my phone in my face. And it was hard. It was very hard.
So let's talk a little bit then about your organization, Texting is Risky Business. So how long have you been doing this now?
For 2 years now.
And
this is the second year.
Where do you typically speak?
Right now, I work through an organization. It's a nonprofit organization that's here in North Carolina, and they have. Can I say the name of the place?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, it's called Street Safe US, and Street Safe is a nonprofit organization, and their main focus is keeping young drivers safe, keeping them the high risk behavior of like texting and driving, not wearing a seatbelt, drinking and driving, all these different things. They have this very innovative program where the kids actually get in the car and they can drive and go through the things like running through water, like hydroplaning, people in the car messing with them while they're trying to drive. So I started speaking with them and it grew from that, from me like basically watching how they do everything. I was like, okay, I can do something like that. I can branch off and do my own thing, but we still have the same mission and we still have the same vision. we're doing this for these children so they can know how dangerous it is. So working with them and Jennifer Smith, I met her. She's one of the leading advocates against, well, the law. She's trying to change the laws. I love this lady. She is so dedicated, and it's like watching her also. I draw strength from her when I see her doing the things that she's doing, and it's like I can do this too. I can use what happened to me. I can use it to help other people realize how dangerous it is. So going through all that, I was like, I can do this. Texting is risky business, and I need to let people know how risky it is.
When you're doing a presentation in front of a group of young students, what typically are some of the reactions you see?
I have seen tears a couple times. I've gotten hugs several times. I've had parents walk up to me telling me thank you. I've had nothing but good reactions from people. So that's another thing that helps drive me is when I see how, when I stand and talk, how it affects people. And people like on Facebook, on social media, they'll send me messages and tell me thank you or I love you or just like encouraging things that I wouldn't think that people would actually say, but they're saying it. So it's like it's helping. That's helping motivate me too.
How long is the presentation that you give, and typically what is your approach to communicating the message about the dangers of texting and driving? How do you reach people?
I tell them my story. Then I let them know like how it's selfish. So basically, it's like I'm going through storytelling. Then I show, of course, my scars. They see my scars. And then I have a PowerPoint presentation that I give when I do my own presentations, because when I'm doing the presentations with Street Safe, I only have like 5 or 10 minutes to basically say what I have to say, tell them to be careful and give them advice. Like I'll tell people, get a designated texter. If you have to go somewhere and you can get somebody to ride with you and you need to use your GPS, give that person your phone. Your phone rings, tell this person that's in your car to answer the phone. If it's not a private, personal type message, just give your phone to somebody else or turn your phone off until you get where you're going. So every talk that I have, I end it by telling them the ways that they can avoid having to pick up their phone. So I always end it and tell them to be safe. And I do my best to spread the message. And through my presentation, like I said, I do the PowerPoint. I show my scars, tell my story, and I just pray that they listen.
And imagine we see, of course, young people will obviously, they feel very invincible, and they think that things like this won't happen to them. How do you? Is there one way that's better than another to get through to them when you can see? I'm sure some of them will have that attitude like, this isn't for me. Why am I here? I just have to be here because I'm told to be here. What is it going to take to get those people awake?
Some of those people is going to actually take them to get in the accident. I hate to say it that way, but I was one of those people, and I wasn't a teenager. So it's something that is really, really hard. You have to get people to understand, like, it is an addiction. It's not normal because of how these apps and things are making people addicted to grabbing their phones all the time. So just like with an alcoholic or a drug addict, you can't tell these people that they can't have their drugs. They're going to go get their drugs. So like a cell phone is like a drug. And that's what I compare it to. And that's what I try to express to them so they can feel like I need for it to be taboo, like drinking and driving. Like you're scared to do it. But then they're also saying if somebody's scared to do it, that means it's going to make it even worse because then they're going to have their phone way down and you can't see what they're doing. But I try to mirror them. I try not to look like authority figure or a mother figure. Like, as you can see, my hair is green. It's the reason why my hair is green, because most of them have different color hair. They have piercings. They have tattoos. If you can look like them, maybe you can reach them. So that's my way of doing it. In a way, like I'm using psychology. Since I have been in school for child psychology, it's like I'm using the things that I have learned to reach these children. And if I have to try to look like a child for them to listen to me like I'm one of their peers, then I will. Because I think that's the main thing, that they don't like for people to tell them what to do. But if it's more like you're a friend and you're suggesting something to them, then maybe they will listen better instead of you talking to them like you're a mother or a father.
Does North Carolina have a hands-free law today?
It's in the Senate right now, or the House. Yeah, it's in the House right now. I think it's in the, I don't want to be wrong, but I think it's in the Insurance Committee. So they have a hearing coming up. So hopefully I have sent out emails, and I have received emails. I've received some really good emails from the representatives that are behind this law. So I'm just hoping that they understand how serious it is. And it can happen to them. They have family that drive on the highways just like anybody else. And if it's somebody in front of you, beside you, and behind you, texting and driving, even if you're not, you might get caught up in some of that stuff. So I understand that they don't want to tell people what to do, or they have whatever they have going on with them to where they're saying no to this bill. But just I want them to think about their own family and something happened to somebody in their family. It wouldn't be cool.
Have you been asked to maybe speak in front of the state legislature, or has that come up at all?
Yeah, I've been there twice, and I'm supposed to go back. Not sure right now because one of the representatives pulled the bill. So now we're trying to get him to put the bill back. So, and I see it's a process.
Yeah, I bet. What have you learned over the 2 years now that you've been doing the speaking, and raising awareness about distracted driving? Is there anything that you can kind of take away from that has made you even stronger and more motivated to continue doing this?
Today, I was at a career day today. I was in the 5th grade class, and I asked the students, how many of your parents text and drive with you in the car? The whole 25 kids in that class raised their hands. And I was like, no. No. Because I was shocked to see that many, like all the kids' hands went up in the air. And I was like, that's 25 people on the road today that will be texting and driving with these children in the car with them. And it made me think back to where when I was going to get my son, the date got canceled. I was going to get my son some shoes. I knew his shoe size. But what if it would have been a normal, typical me going to shop for shoes for my son, and he would have been in the car with me. And then my daughter or somebody else would have been texting me, and that same accident would have happened. I hate to think about that. And then when I looked at these kids today with their hands up in the air, I was like, man, their parents don't know. They can't know.
Tasha, how do you get your speaking engagements booked? Is it through referrals, or do you have a website or something that people can find you?
I have my Facebook page, Tasha Harrison Springs, and also Texting is Risky Business. I'm on Instagram, Tasha Harrison Springs, the same handles, Tasha Harrison Springs, Texting is Risky Business, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Annie, before we go, you have any final, message you'd like to share with our audience just about the topic of driving safety in general or distracted driving in particular?
Yeah, I have a a few things I would want to say. Like I mentioned earlier, get a designated driver if you need your GPS. Give the phone to somebody else. If you have an iPhone and you do your music through your iPhone, give your phone to somebody else. If you feel like you have an addiction to your phone, turn your phone off until you get where you're going. If you don't want to turn your phone off until you get where you're going, put an app like True Motion Family. They have an app. AT&T, they have an app. Put these apps on your phone so you can turn it on and tell people do not disturb. You have Bluetooth in your car, use your Bluetooth to talk to people. If you must use your phone, use it responsibly. Because when we signed our names on our license, we promised to be responsible drivers. We promised that we would respect be courteous to other people while we're driving. This is a promise that we all made that have license. If you have license, you made this commitment. So basically promise to yourself that you won't hurt yourself or anybody else.
Well, that's a very good message to leave us on. Tasha, thank you so much for joining us today. I certainly appreciate the story. I'm sorry for the tragedy that occurred, but glad that you're alive, and it's surely inspirational and motivational to see that you've turned this into a positive, and I'm sure you're making a huge difference in people's lives.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rich.
Thank you. Once again, that was Tasha Hairston Springs. She's the founder of Texting is Risky Business. Tasha is dedicating her life to raising awareness about the dangers of distracted driving in hopes of saving lives. And I guarantee you she's making a difference.
You've been listening to the Driving Safety Show. To stay up to date on the latest episodes, visit driversalert.com/driving-safety-podcast. There you can sign up for episode notifications, listen to past episodes, and even request to be a guest on the show. And don't forget, the Driving Safety Show is the show that features the movers and shakers who are working hard to make our roads safer. See you next time.